Welcome to At the Nurses Station, a podcast for nurses about everything except the patients. Good morning at
Good morning.
11 and some change noon. Are we at noon yet? I don't know. I decided to take my nap on the couch because I thought it would stop me from going into like a deep sleep and it would be easier to wake up. That was a mistake, Kelly, based on what you see on camera. I'm sure that you can attest to that.
Where are your children?
They're here. That's what I was thinking.
They let you sleep on the couch?
Well, I mean, they don't bother me, but I was like, maybe if just like stuff is happening around me, I won't like fall all the way into the dead kind of sleep that I should be getting. And it'll be easier to get up and do this with you. But really what it was something like torture. When, you keep falling asleep, but then being pulled back to consciousness by something that you can't identify because you're not all the way awake.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like that, but I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a good day.
I think you are crazy. I don't know why you're on right now. I would never wake up at 11 a.m. for you to do this podcast.
I feel like there are some things that I've told you that, I think in the beginning I told you that I think about you and you were like, "You gross." And then I like thanked you for what a lovely friend you've been. And you were like, "Okay, great." And now you're like, "I wouldn't even wake up for you." So,
Not if I worked last night. I cannot function like that.
I mean,
way.
it's okay, Kelly. When everyone at work is like, "Sam's such a biatch and she's so grumpy and she's so mean," could you just affirm for them that it's only on the outside, but on the inside, I can be nice if I want to be and thoughtful.
I do appreciate you waking up for me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I wouldn't do it for anyone, not
For
just you.
anyone. Okay,
Right.
well, that's fair. Well,
You
what
would do
happened?
it for most people.
Okay, now you're just making me seem like desperate for friends, and I wouldn't do it for most people. But you have been doing things this weekend. Not working with me, sadly. What have you been up to?
No, it was a whirlwind of a weekend. We had to put 2 of our dogs down.
I know.
And we knew this was coming. We've known it for like 6 months
Okay.
so I have 3 dogs total. 2 of them are both 13. They've been together since they were puppies. The Irish setter, our big dog, has this big mass in his mouth and he was losing his teeth and he couldn't eat and he's always been thin. We rescued him because he was like neglected thin, so he's always been thin. But it got to the point where when it was raining, he was just like shivering for hours, could not warm him up. And then our Shih Tzu, she would not let us groom her anymore because she's now like blind and deaf. We would have to like lead her to her food and she'd like nip at you if you tried to cut her hair. So it seemed silly to put one down without the other, but it was finally time. But one of the doctors we work with, his wife does in-home euthanasia.
Yeah.
And so I was able to set it up with her, and she is lovely. She is amazing.
Aw.
Name's Haley. Thank you, Dr. Haley. She made it like super peaceful. It was great. But the Irish setter was my daughter's dog, and she's almost 20 now. And so she was with me, and that was rough. So we did that, followed by an 8-year-old birthday party for my son.
Oh.
So we went from like grieving all day to then now I have to throw a birthday party, which was super fun. Jack wanted it Wicked themed. So everything was pink and green, and we did Wicked tattoos on all the kids' cheeks, and we had a piñata and played fun games. And
what is the attraction to Wicked for an 8-year-old boy?
It's a musical. Hello. He loves musicals. Your kids don't like musicals? We also raise our kids very differently, Sam. One of his favorite musicals is Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is all about, transvestites from Transylvania.
I've never even seen that movie.
Oh yeah, he knows how to do the time warp. It is awesome. So
I'm not saying he's not allowed to. I couldn't even get through the movie, the first Wicked. So I was just like, I don't know what the appeal is. No, we're all guns and aliens in this house.
Yeah, no. Yeah, so we did that, and then all day yesterday, I was just exhausted. My anxiety has been kind of out of whack just because of, I think, too many emotions and
Mm.
responsibilities all over the place. And then today, I got my adopted son's biological brother, who we've been close with, reached out to me and wanted some support in like a DCYF meeting. So I was on that phone all morning. So just kind of crazy.
A lot of emotional whiplash, I think, is the term that kind of kept coming up as you were talking, like,
Yeah,
talking about it, and being, like, the mom and, like, the emotional head of the household maybe. Like,
right.
that's a lot for you to carry, kind of, like, helping to guide everyone through, like, what they're feeling. That
Yes,
can
and, like,
be
4 kids that are having very different emotions about
mm,
very different things, plus this outside child that I feel responsible for and trying to be there for him, so I feel like I haven't emotionally decompressed, and then I have to go to work, so I've
and then
just
you
gotta
have to
keep
work.
shoving it down,
Yes. Yeah.
for a couple more days. Let's just bury it, and then at some point, I'll break, and then
Yeah.
I'll be fine.
And people feel like that's unhealthy, and I just don't know how else you're expected to do it.
Well, if you want to continue living your life, I feel like that's sometimes the only option.
Yes, for sure, which I think is an interesting segue into living your life with moderate illness, but I think we're going to sidestep that and talk about, um, more of what most people know as foster care, but can
Mhm.
you just give the definition of DCYF really fast? Because
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Yeah.
that is very specific to where we are,
Yes. So it's
versus
the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. So a lot of people say CPS, DYF. I think there's a lot of different definitions, but yeah, it's basically the foster care system.
Mm, okay. And you were part of that for many years, just helping complex kids for short periods of time, right?
Yeah. So the way we got into it, I worked NICU for 10 years. And of course, we saw a lot of drug addicted babies being born. And so in the NICU, you get this little glimpse into that world
Mm,
of women having multiple children that are born addicted to drugs and then trying to wean those babies off of narcotics, is usually, opiates.
mm,
Um, Surprisingly, they wean off of meth really easily, and meth makes women have lots of babies in my experience. But we're
yeah.
going to talk about the other side. Just a synopsis.
Infertility problems? Try
Uh, yeah, try meth. No, and so, after my last biological child, Titus, I had a miscarriage. I've had 5 miscarriages total. After that miscarriage, my husband was like, "We're not doing this anymore. Like,
mm,
I'm getting a vasectomy." Just couldn't watch me go through that roller coaster. Um, and I felt like I wasn't done having kids. Like, in my
mm,
heart, I knew that I wasn't done having children, even though I respected his choice in that.
mm,
So, that's where my brain started going down the foster care road of, like, there are all these babies out there that need homes,
mhm,
and I could do that. I could just have babies in my house and take care of them. I love babies.
mhm,
So God bless my husband. He was just like, sure, whatever, and lets me go down the foster care rabbit hole. So a lot of people ask, like, is it hard to become a foster parent? And surprisingly, the answer is yes. Like, I feel like some people think that, like, they let anybody do foster care just because of, the horror stories that you hear
mm.
of abuse
Oh,
happening in
sure.
foster homes.
Yeah.
But for me, it took months, a lot of classes, a lot of in-home um, inspections. You have to have just random stuff. You have to have a smoke alarm outside of every single door in your home. All of your sharps, your medications, alcohol, all of that has to be secured. You have to, like, baby proof to the nines, like the crazy mom kind of baby proofing. And then they do interviews, of every family member, including your children, completely separately. And that was kind of stressful for me because I'm a little bit of a control freak in that aspect, like having my 3-year-old interviewed by someone without me in the room was weird.
Mhm.
Anyways, but then we ended up getting our license and,
Can I sorry, I don't
yeah.
wanna, like, interrupt you, can I ask a quick question about that? How do you feel about the sort of difference between how rigorous they are for, like, a family that's actually looking to offer their help to a child that needs help versus how lenient the perception of, at least for us, the system is for leaving a child in the care of someone or in a situation that clearly seems risky, unstable, and unsafe?
Yeah, I think, it's tough because I do feel like that you would probably have more people willing to help if it wasn't so hard to do so.
Mm,
Um, but the only hard part is that initial phase. Once you're
okay.
once you are a foster parent, you get phone calls all the time. I got phone calls
Mm,
at 11 o'clock at night saying, "We have this 18-month-old that we need emergency placement for. Can we drop her off at your house?" And
mm,
then they'll call me the next morning and say, "We found an aunt and come pick her up."
okay.
Um,
And do you think it's reasonable because, like, people are coming from the outside to be so intense and, like, check on all of these, like, minor little things, whereas, like, a child might be left in their, like, biological parents' care with, like, a house that doesn't have any of those things or that has, like, an open CPS investigation for
right.
multiple things multiple times or, like, known drug use or something?
Yeah, I think it's their safety net because once they take
Mm,
control of that child is now a ward of the state. And so they have to vet whose homes they're putting them into. And let's be real, there's evil people out there
yeah, for sure.
that would take advantage of that.
Game the
Um,
system.
and
Okay.
that's the whole thing is that these kids are so vulnerable
Mm,
that it's going it's going to be hard to guarantee their safety in either
situation.
scenario.
I think for some people that aren't in the system, not in, like, a negative way, but, like, you have
Yeah.
such a good view of it, but maybe like me, I see some of these families that we take care of, right, or you see some stuff and you're like, "Please remove that child."
Mhm.
Um, it's clear, but it's like, "No, like, we're just gonna let them be there until something catastrophic happens," but then you have, like, good people that not you're not just worried about a background check or, like, basic education, you're worried about a fire alarm outside of every door while you know that, like, their uncle is coming over every Saturday night and doing stuff, like,
Yeah.
that seems weird, but like, just, like, difficult to put together.
Well, and that's when I my haunches get up
Mhm.
about the whole system is, there's nowhere for these kids to go.
Okay.
Like, the reason that it has gotten to the point where they give these families chance after chance after chance, in my opinion, is because the lack of foster homes
Mm,
available. And there's a lot of reasons for that. There's, people, say that they care about children, but they're not willing to open their homes to them.
mm,
Or they're not willing to, put more money into the social system for these kids. The funding just like keeps getting cut, keeps getting cut. Social workers are treated horribly. Um,
hmm,
when I was in the system, it was a constant turnover for the social or the caseworkers taking care of these
mhm.
kids because it's a really, really hard job to watch, these children go back into placement with families that they know is not safe.
Can I
Uh,
ask can I ask another question about this? And
yeah.
this one you can laugh at, and it is, like, serious, but also, do you really need a master's degree to be a social worker?
No, I don't
That's
think so. Um, I
that's
don't think
always
so, and it's one of those professions, like we said, that, could probably be like a trade school, like learn on the job and all of that, but I worked
sorry,
with some
to reedu
amazing social workers, and I don't think it had anything to do with their education level. I think it was their compassion and their drive to take care of these kids. Anyway, so back to like how we got into it. Once I talked my husband into it, we got certified, all of that. Then it was waiting for that first placement. And it's kind of a weird experience because you're all licensed and excited, and then nothing happens for like a month. And you're just waiting for a phone call. And so like I would literally like call and say, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I'm still open. Still have the nursery all set up," because you set
Aw.
up a room in your house for these children that are just out there in the world somewhere.
Oh.
And so that's also a weird feeling of knowing that the child that you're waiting for is in a horrible situation, and you're just waiting for the state to step in and remove them. But you don't even know this baby yet. You just are expecting something.
I
It's
mean, but there's like a beauty in that, I think,
Mhm.
like setting a place at your table, having like I don't know, having that expectation and openness that like someone is coming to fill a space in your home. I think, I mean, the regulations aside, I think that there's a beauty in that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So we got our first phone call. It was a little it was a drug addicted baby. And so I was like, "Great, I'll go pick him up. Let's go right now." And we showed up at the hospital. And this is not a hospital that I worked at the time, but I knew the physician taking
Oh,
care of the baby. And so I showed up. I was like, "Hi, I'm so and so's foster mom. Here's my paperwork." And they were like, it's like 6:30 at night. And I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but they said that like he's mine, so I'm here to get him." And they're like, "Well, it's shift change." I'm like, "Cool, I'll wait until shift change." So went back there, and he had just been weaned off of morphine, which is what you use to wean, or
oh,
we used to. I think it's gone a little bit away from that. This was, 8 years ago. He had just been weaned off that day. And they're like, "Well, normally we would give him a couple days, make sure that, he doesn't need it." And the doctor that I worked with happened to still be there. And I was like, "Hey." And he's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "This is my new foster baby." I was like, "I can take him home right now. You guys don't have to, worry about it. If he's still going through a little bit of withdrawals, I know what to do, like without medication." And we got to take him home that night.
oh,
So that was pretty sweet. That kiddo ended up staying. It was the coolest thing. So his dad, who had not been in the picture, lived in a different state, and a lot of times that's a hard transition that
mm,
we can also get into. Like if you don't live in the state, there is a lot of red tape to move that child to another state. But I ended up going to visitations with the baby and teaching this dad how to take care of him, and like how to how to feed him, how to regulate him, all of these things. So I got to know that dad really well. And he went and lived with him, and he still sends me like, "Hey, he's 8 years old now. Like,
oh
he's
my
doing
gosh.
great." So that was a really cool first experience. I should say that we got into foster care with absolutely no intent on adopting. Like,
Mm,
we were not going to adopt. We were
mhm,
strictly going to help these children until they found a home.
mhm.
That being said, my current son, Jack, was our second placement.
That it keeps in that's everything I know about you, that tracks. Mhm. Yeah.
So being a nurse and them knowing that you were a NICU nurse, they end up giving you all the medically complex kids that are
Okay.
very hard to place because I'm
Mm,
comfortable with that. In the beginning, I was totally fine with that, but I said I did not want a trach. I think trachs are gross. I didn't want to deal with it.
mhm.
And the call came shortly after we sent home our other baby that we have this baby. He's only 2 months old, but he has a trach. Will you just go meet him? And I just know, like, I remember walking into that room and seeing Jack there, and he was the cutest thing. And I was like, "Yep, I'll take you home." It's like going to like it's like going to uh Oh, what's the dog pound? That's not the
I
right.
knew you were gonna say I was thinking pet store, this
Yeah.
but I didn't yeah.
Yeah, like the pet adoption center and
Right.
not walking out with a puppy or a kitten. Like, it's ridiculous.
Mm.
Um, so I ended up bringing Jack home, and my husband was at work. So
Also,
I
like, bringing a new puppy home. Yeah, that sounds
yeah. So, I was like, "So I'm bringing this baby home. He's got a lot of medical needs. He was failure to thrive. He had a G tube. He had a trach. He couldn't eat. Was tiny. I think at 2.5 months he was like 8 pounds.
oh my god.
Um, so my husband walks in, and I'm sitting here holding this little baby, and we had the old trach humidifier that was so loud, like the oxygen condenser that's like
Mhm.
that's all they gave us. And then I had the medical supply company came, and they had like 10 oxygen tanks for backup, all of his feeding supplies, the kangaroo pump, everything, and it was just surrounding me in the living room. And I'm sitting here holding this baby, and my husband looked at me like he was gonna murder me. And I was like, "It's gonna be okay, I promise." And he just did not say a word, walked and grabbed a beer, and I didn't see him again for like an hour and a half.
'Cause when you go to work, presumably he has to do all of that, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So then he comes back in and he's like, "All right, teach me all the things."
Oh.
And, no, and he took it on, like, fully. He's amazing.
Oh.
And
Chad, we're hiring, by the
I
way.
was still working at the time, and that lasted about a month before it was like,
Mm.
I can either keep this child and take care of him, or I need to quit my job. Like, I cannot do both things.
Wow.
And you do get a stipend to take care of kids, and it is higher for higher needs. So, like if you have a severe autistic child or you have
Sure.
medical needs, they give you more money. And that's to be used on the child. It's not like you're getting paid.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
so we did a sit down budget. How are we going to make this work? Cutting coupons, cut out a lot of, those extra things so that I
Yeah.
could stay home.
Mm,
And then over the next 3 years, we had 13 kids in and out of our house, and
wow.
Jack just stayed the whole time until we adopted him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So the foster system versus the adoption system, does everyone start with foster if you're looking to, like, adopt domestically?
So when you get certified and you take your classes, you tell them what your goal is.
Okay.
So, like, there are a lot of families that are doing foster to adopt. That is all they
Okay.
want. They don't want a child placed in their home that is not most likely going to be adopted,
Mm,
or that has already, um, those parents like have pieced out. They're not a part of the picture anymore.
they've signed them over to the state or something?
Right. The problem with that is that can change. I mean, you could be a week before adoption and the family could come back and say, "No, I want that baby." And you could have had him for 2 years. And then you like basically start back at step 1 of trying to figure out if this child can be yours or not. One of the kiddos that we had ended up going, she wasn't a good fit for our house. She had been through a lot of trauma. She was a couple years older. I think she was 3 when we got her, and she was being physically aggressive with the baby.
Mm,
And so uh, our old pastors at a church I used to go to, they actually took her in,
mm.
and they ended up adopting her, but it took several years for them to
Oh,
get to that
wow.
point.
Do
Go ahead.
I mean, how do you feel about it being that so I guess I have 2 questions. How do you feel about it being so difficult to get permanent placement, like adoption? And maybe the question that needs to be talked about before that would be, um, the rights of biological parents in the context of inability to care for your children, by evidence of them being addicted to drugs or being in unsafe situations, and what is your view on how many chances or how far that parental right goes.
Yeah, it's hard. I do think that we give too many chances.
Okay.
Um,
Don't mind me just asking you easy questions here, Kelly, off the
right.
bat. Sorry.
Yeah, no, and I've lived it, and so that's why, like, I thought it'd be a good episode for us to talk about because I have seen both sides. I have seen where parents truly just had a bad day,
Okay.
um, and harmed their child, but they absolutely love that child to death and went through every single hoop to get that child back.
Okay.
And I think that that's one thing. I think when you've had 6 children already removed from your care,
Mm,
giving those parents more than one shot um, seems like a big waste of time and energy and resources.
mm.
Um, I think okay, here's my real thing.
Here we go.
Here's my I'm like, how do I wanna put this? In our society, children have less rights than animals.
Mm,
Those children that are in the foster care system have absolutely no rights. The parents, however, happen to have every single right besides having that child in their home. And you have to prove that I think the new statement is that if that child were in their care, they would be an imminent risk of death, not imminent
death.
risk of harm, imminent risk of death. That is now the wording of in our state, the criteria to remove a child.
I don't like that at all.
I despise that and it makes me ill.
Mm.
And I think both of us have seen children leave the ER with family that have
Oh,
clearly harming their children, and we just get the reassurance that CPS is just gonna follow up on it. That
mhm,
and
mhm,
I don't believe that they do. I don't believe that they have the resources to actually follow up on those children.
mm. That I had another question to ask you, but then got, emotionally sidetracked in my memory of, those those moments where just by way of throwing another comment at you, I think it was our peds, symposium, like, 2 years ago, one of our ICU docs talked about, non-accidental traumas and treating them and a lot of, like, the protocols that they have, and he didn't realize that it was a rule that we're not allowed to remove the suspected abuser if
Mhm,
it's the closest, like, if it's mom or dad, essentially, is the point that I'm getting at,
mhm,
and that's not a protocol that they follow inpatient, and that has always been the most difficult thing for me is I have the urge to surround those children with safe people
mhm,
and to, give a show that we are protecting them, you
mhm,
know? And I've just always struggled with that, ph what would you say, philosophy or that logic that they insist is true, that those children still find that abuser to be their safest place because it's like their mom or their dad.
mhm.
How do you feel about that? Do you think that's real?
No, that was one of the biggest problems that I had, being a foster parent.
Mm,
Um, Now I'm gonna preface this with I always tried to support the foster parent in the best way that I could, by, like, removing myself from the investigation. Like, I don't need to know. So
as a nurse, is that what you're saying?
no, as a foster mom.
Okay,
So so all of the foster kids, they have supervised visitation with their parents, right?
okay,
So the way that that works is someone from the visitation center comes, they pick up your child,
okay,
and then they transport them to the visitation center. They stay in a room not any bigger than, a bedroom with those children for anywhere from 1 to 3 hours,
okay.
and then the child is brought back to you. So what I always did is for every child, I would have a notebook and I would write the parents like a little note of what was going on with the kiddo, like when they ate last, if they had been sick, if they had a diaper rash, like what I had been doing to take care of that child, to make it very much just like, I'm here to take care of your child. But I know it's your child.
Mm.
And then I would ask them, like, is there certain things that you would like me to do? Is there certain songs that you sing at bedtime?
Oh.
Do you want to send pictures that, I can pin up in their crib? Um, I had a black child that I had never taken care of a black baby before.
Mhm.
So
Oh.
like, how often do I bathe her, and what would you like me to put on her skin and her hair?
Mm.
And, can you teach me how to best take care of your child? So that usually made it so we had a good relationship. I wasn't the enemy in their eyes. And
Mm.
that seemed like the best way to support the baby. It was like, I just want to take care of your baby.
Mhm.
Now, that being said, taking care of medically fragile children, we were in the hospital all the time, you
Okay.
know, whether it was the ER, inpatient, surgeries,
Mm.
did that.
Clinic. Yeah.
What really bothered me is that the parents still have to sign consent for everything.
Hmm.
They also have full visitation rights while in the hospital. So while we're outside of the hospital, they have to be supervised 100% of the time.
Mhm.
While in the hospital, they have full visitation rights. You cannot limit them. And you also have to notify them as soon as the baby is in the hospital. If I had, I've shared a lot about Jack. Jack had tracheomalacia and subglottic stenosis, and we were in the ER all the time because he'd get upper respiratory viruses. I would have to call the 800 number, wait on hold, try and tell like the emergency team, like, I'm going to the emergency room. Then they would have to notify the parents. And if I didn't do that, I was in trouble.
Hmm.
S- And then if the parents show up, they're 100% allowed to be in that room, which makes it very awkward when you've been taking care of this child for months and months, sometimes years. And then now you have these biological parents sitting right next to you.
For one, as a nurse, I did not know that, so that's probably good to know, since we take care of a handful of foster kids now and then. And I can't say that I've ever had it be an issue, but there's something that I guess is piquing me a little bit from my what you deserve and what you earn in life sort of
Mhm.
place in me, where, like, you're not if your child has been either removed forcibly into the foster care system or you have allowed, right, because some parents opt for that for their child because it's too difficult for them to take care of them for whatever reason, and then when they're in a situation, you wanna try and, like, trump me out of it when
Mm.
you have opted to not be a parent, either for your personal choices of living life or because you couldn't take on the that makes me angry,
Yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And
the audacity of a human to behave like that would just
it's
send me
really hard. It really takes, I don't think that they prepare you for that as a
Mm,
foster parent. I took care of one boy. He was an ex preemie, like micro preemie, like
mm,
24 weeker, who came to us when he was 3. Couldn't walk, couldn't talk, probably was more like he could sit up, and he kind of moaned his response. But he also had a trach. So yes, I was taking care of 2 trach kids 24/7 in my house. Everybody feel sorry for me. It was horrible.
jeez.
But he had to go in for surgery, and he was horribly abused. When I got him, he was skin and bones. All of his hair was falling out. He had bite marks covering him. And I remember sitting
What does that
in
even mean? What?
I can't say too
Okay.
much.
Oh, yeah, no, fine. Yeah, sorry. Go for it.
But I remember sitting in surgery waiting, and biological parents were there.
No.
And so thank God for this OR nurse. I was able to kind of pull her aside, and I said, "Can you, when he wakes up," I had been his safe place. Like, he
Mhm.
immediately, like, clung to me. He was like a little spider monkey, how we would carry him around. Um, and we had him for, oh, probably at least 6 months by that point. And so this lovely OR nurse, like, talked to me, and I said, "Can you please, when he wakes up, can you please just have me come back to be there when he wakes up?" And so I don't know if it was against protocol or not, but she just, when they came to wake up, or when they came to tell us he was waking up, she said, "I need just the foster mom to come back to be with him. We can only have one person back." And the parents were okay with that, but
Mhm.
they didn't have to be. Like, they
Mhm.
could have said, "No, I wanna be back there," and I would have no rights. So that is what would break my heart, is just thinking that my baby, because as soon as you come into my house, you're my child. I don't
Sure.
care. If it's my, my daughter's friend who got kicked out of his home, as soon as you
Mhm.
walk in this house, I'm your mom. I got you 100%. And
Mhm.
that was the hardest thing, was knowing that I wasn't there for him.
Mm.
But it didn't happen, but it's a possibility. So,
So, I guess my like, you set that scenario up, and the first thing that I frame it is, like, the parents are coming in to get to be the hero to the child that
mhm,
is, like, sick or ill or kind of, like, want to play their parental role then, but what you're saying is, like, actually maybe they have concern and they're just, like, wanting to be there. We know that people have this idea that when something happens, they need to be in the hospital, that, like, that makes it better for the
yeah,
patient, and we know that that's not always true. It just
yeah,
but so it could just be that they were just wanting that and understand the connection that you have, and that they do need to sort of acquiesce to the foster parents' skill and connection, which sort of breaks my heart for them and makes me want to give them a hug if that's really how they, view the situation. It's sort of
one
amazing too.
100%. So, I think the thing that I learned the most is, except, mm, I would say 2 out of those 13 were really horrible. They were,
Mm,
really horrible, and I didn't think that they did not go back to those families, and
okay.
that's a good thing. But the thing that I learned, and why I wanted to build that connection, like with the notebooks and stuff, is in the end, they are parents. And even if
Mm,
they have made bad choices, and, you know, I would say all of them, in all likelihood, were not raised properly as
mm,
well,
okay.
also have trauma and abuse. And a lot of them were just doing their best, and that
Mm,
just wasn't good enough.
okay.
Um, but the realization that those parents still love those kids with a parental love.
Mm,
They just have not been equipped in their life and in their experience to raise their children, but that doesn't mean they don't love them.
okay.
It's that compassion, man. It's
For
hard.
compassion.
Yeah.
Who needs that? Is there, like, a profession that's, like, known for that or something? I don't know. No, I think, like many subjects, you and I kind of, like, walk down the road together with most of, like, the way we see it and, like, how we view it, and then deviate, like, 2 steps in either direction, and I think perhaps that's probably where you're able to see that better. I did actually, attend, like, some meetings in the state that I'm in, which is different than yours,
Mhm,
like, some informational meetings about, adoption and foster, and the husband and wife team that were kind of leading it, they said the question that we wanna address that we get all of the time, kind of what you're saying is, like, how can you put yourself through that when you know the kid is going to leave?
mhm,
Like, how do you allow your heart to be broken all the time? And one of the things that they said was, like, essentially, she said, like, "It's not about you if you're doing this, like, you're doing it in the service of another person, so it's really not about you protecting yourself, and you will be what that child needs at that time." So,
mhm.
like, they need you for 6 months or 2 years or a week or overnight or whatever,
Or a
and
lifetime,
or a
and you don't
lifetime.
know.
And you
Yeah.
yeah, and that's, and I was like, "Oh, that's like a really." That is, I mean, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago, and that always stuck with me, like, it's not really about how it's gonna make you feel, it's really about just being there for that child when they need you to be there for them.
Yeah, and I think all foster parents get this a lot where they're like, "I could never do that. I would
Yeah.
get so attached."
Mhm.
Yeah, you will. Yep, you
Yeah.
will get attached, and, there are certain I have a list of every child that
Mm.
we ever took care of. I have all their paperwork, and but yes, it's that mindset of you should get attached. It's not like
Mm.
you shouldn't say, "Oh, I could do that because I wouldn't attach myself to those kids."
I don't care about
Yeah,
kids.
that's how we want you to be. No, the idea is we want that attachment because we want those children to know that there's safety out there, know that there are kind people, know that there is a loving home.
Mhm.
And while that might be for just a short period of time, hopefully that gives the family time to prepare that same type of environment for them to go back to.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, just like what you said, it's not about you, it's about the kids. It's about taking them in and showing them love for whatever amount of time God deems
Yeah,
appropriate.
sure. Yeah. So I know we're gonna wrap this up. I do wanna push a little bit on, maybe older kids
Mm,
in foster and the experience. I mean, the experience that I've had with this is only, in our job, but what about when they come and the foster parents are like, I can't do this
mm,
anymore," or the adoptive parents, I guess, maybe at that point, or is it
yeah.
foster? I'm not sure.
I'm very sup supportive of those parents only in the fact that I've had to do it. I
Okay.
have had to call and say, "This is not the right place. This
Mm.
is not a good fit for my family." Um, I also had to be very conscious of my other children.
Yeah, yeah.
I had 3 other kids in the house that were mine before Jack was adopted, plus Jack, plus whatever revolving child came in.
Mm.
Well, no, sometimes we had 2. I mean, no, once we had 3. Once we had 7 in the house at
We
one
have
time.
12. No, I'm just kidding.
And for me, that was the hardest moment. That was the hardest phone call to make,
Mm.
because you feel like you're failing those children by saying, "You have to come pick them up. I cannot do this."
Was it
Um,
mostly behavioral, or for you, was it mostly just the medical
no, it was
demands of you?
all behavioral.
It was all behavioral.
It was
Okay.
behavioral to the point where if they were hurting my other children
Yeah.
or I couldn't leave the room and, my own kids saying, "I don't wanna do this anymore." I mean, that's when we did it for 3 years, and when you have to certify every 3 years, and it was a family meeting, and all of my children said, "No, we're done." Like, it was too much for them.
Mm.
Even though I was home, I wasn't working, 90% of my efforts had to go towards these special
Yeah,
need
yeah.
children, not my own children.
Mm.
So when we have these kids come into the ER, first of all, I don't blame the foster parents, I blame the system
Sure. Yeah.
because there should be another option than just dropping them off at the ER because that was not an immediate decision for that family. That was,
Mm.
I am at the end of my rope. I have asked for resources. I have asked for this child to be replaced or homed,
Yeah.
and you're not listening. I know that we had one kiddo that we could only have for 1 more month. There was a lot of other things going on in our life. We had given them this time frame, probably 3 months out. Like he needs to be rehomed by
3
this point.
months. Wow.
And there was a family that was willing to come take him that day 3 months before, but they lived in a different state. And so our state just drug their feet because the child's in a safe place, so they're not a priority right now.
Mm.
And it got to the point where it was a month out, like, "You have this long." It's 2 weeks out, "You have this long." Like, literally, I'm leaving the country. That is the most frustrating thing. It's not the foster parents giving them up, it's the system not having the resources to help these kids.
Is a child ever taken out of a home and put into a different home not by the request of the child or the family? I feel like when you hear people say, "Oh, I grew up in foster care. I had like 12 or 20 houses that I lived in." Is
Mhm.
that does there have to be a catalyst to be moved, or is there sometimes like a system process that ends up moving them for some reason?
It's usually the foster parent's choice. It's usually the foster parent saying this isn't a good fit. So
Gotcha.
when you have these behavioral kids and they're placed in your home and a week later they have destroyed your home, beat up your
Yeah.
kids, harmed animals, it's them saying you have to move them, and that's how kids get bounced around.
Mm. I okay, so I know we're close. I have one question that I had forgotten that I was thinking about, and I know we got some feedback that people like it when we talk, social
Mhm.
issues. So I think on the East Coast, and I don't even remember the state, there's a current lawsuit going on, with the foster care system where I'll just set up the stage really fast in, like, loose terms.
Yeah.
A more conservative-minded Christian family that has been in foster care for many years and doing it right, refused to, sign a paper or, state that they would comply with gender affirming care.
Mhm.
And so the state said you can no longer be because it didn't right, because it doesn't align with their personal beliefs, and then the state said that you can't be in foster care. So my question isn't so much about the specifics of the gender affirming care and what you think about that, but how do you how do you reconcile that? Do you think that it should be that way, that a foster family should have to sign on to those, like, more personal type beliefs that can be kind of controversial? Do you think it shouldn't be part of it at all, or do you think that no matter what side of the aisle that you stand on, there should be those mandates that to act in the foster system as a parent, you have to agree on? Because I mean, you know my opinion about
Sure.
that specific topic, but I can see the danger in it
I
both ways.
I
Yeah.
think you're going to, give up a perfectly safe home for a child,
Mm,
by doing that.
mm.
A friend of mine who ended up adopting another child that we had in our home, which is also kinda cool, as I know where most of these kids are now.
Oh, yeah.
They almost didn't get licensed because, they said that they wouldn't support LGBTQ.
Mm.
Now, we all know where I stand on that as well,
Yeah, yeah.
but I also feel like if you have a family that is welcoming a child into their home, just as you're allowed to have a baby, right? No matter which way you believe,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you can
It's
still
obvious.
get pregnant and have a child even if you don't
You're on
believe in
meth.
those things. I feel like by blanketing certain beliefs and opinions as wrong is
Mm.
very dangerous to do because the choice to welcome someone into their home hopefully is coming from a very loving place. And
Yeah, yeah.
if and when those things do come up, I would hope that those families would deal with it like they would their biological children,
Mm.
and that should not be the state or the government's choice.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Um,
then, like, if it was irreconcilable, they
mhm.
could look for other placement or not need to look for other placement if it didn't
Right.
become an issue.
Right, and I mean, I think that, in the gay community, it is very hard to place,
Oh.
um, teens that have come out as transgender or non-binary or
Mm.
queer or whatever, and so I think that's where this began, was trying to say that, like,
Oh.
you can't deny a child just because of their gender or, sexual
Interesting.
orientation, so I think it came from a good place,
Okay.
but as with almost everything, I think it's gone too far. I
Mm.
know that there's a lot of foster homes that do welcome,
Yeah.
gay teens into their home, and when you become a foster parent, you get licensed for certain age groups. It doesn't
Okay.
mean you stick with that. I was licensed for 2 and under, and I had a 14-year-old in my home. They it doesn't really matter once they need a home. But I feel like if that was your strong belief, then that wouldn't be the child you would welcome into your home
Right, I see.
at that point in their
Yeah, yeah.
childhood. And if you adopted them as an infant and then that's where it went, you are now their legal guardian and now
The
you
rules
can
don't
have
apply.
right.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that that makes sense. There are a couple of other issues that I'm having to, like, mull over as well that are coming up in some of the things that I do, and I think sometimes when you're surrounded by people that also have your same beliefs, they're like, "Well, no, we need to either mandate that everyone behaves this way," or the opposite can be true too. Like, in for example, for this, for me and where I am, be like, "This is absolutely unacceptable and discriminatory against this family," right? And people.
mhm,
But what I look at is like, what if the power shifted
mhm,
and now I'm being mandated to say or behave in a way that is not in keeping with my personal beliefs,
mhm,
or the other way around, right? Like, I'm being kept out of something because, like,
right.
so if the power shifts, do I believe that this is the right move? And sometimes it has to be like, well, then no, like, just because we have the ability to do so. Anyway, so I thought that that was kind of an interesting
Yeah,
one.
I think it's not black and white, and the
Yeah.
care of children that need homes, the most vulnerable
Mhm.
population in our country,
Mhm.
they're homeless youth that come from
Mhm.
traumatic backgrounds. Putting a black and white on who can take care of that child is only going to further harm that child.
Well, but also in something that is not a common core belief
Mhm.
for all people. Like, you're taking a very firebrand issue, like an issue
Right.
that you don't know what people believe just walking around. Like, we all believe in, like, freedom of speech and, like, a number, like, and the safety of children, and there are some core beliefs that make sense that you
Right.
would mandate them, but to take something that is so controversial
Well,
and
let's put it on the other side.
yeah.
So, you know my feelings on firearms,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
right?
okay. Yeah.
So, I I think that firearms should be completely regulated. I'm not coming into your house taking them away, but I think you should have a license, a
Okay.
class, just like to drive. They need to be secured at all times. Like I have very strong beliefs on
Yeah, yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Now, if you turn that into the foster care system and say, okay, you can be a foster parent, but you can't own a gun, that would be another polarizing effect that I think in the end only harms what you're trying to do, and what we're all trying to do is help these kids.
Because it's not like saying, because the rule does not actually directly affect the safety or well-being of the child. It is a
Mhm,
policy that is driven by something else, like you're saying. But if you made a rule that said, "You can't have any illicit drugs in your home,"
mhm,
it would knock off some people maybe from being foster parents, but it would increase the safety of the child
mhm,
in a way that's more, like, tangible and obvious, maybe. Maybe there's a better example,
mhm.
but yeah, no, I see what you're saying. No, that was a good example. Look at you, Kelly. Good
Ah,
job.
thanks.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a
Well,
little I get a little hot and bothered when it comes to the foster care system because I just mm, it's broken, just like so many things. It's so
I
broken, and once you're in it and you see the true brokenness, it is so heartbreaking, and that's why it was really hard for me to stop doing it.
mm,
Um, but I had to make that choice for my family, and it doesn't my husband and I have talked about, there may be a time when our children are older that we could take in teens and kids that really need a home, but we're just not in that phase right now.
I wanna leave you with a question that I don't think that we have time for, but sometimes sits in my
Okay.
head that we'll have to, like, talk about at some point. What if we brought back, like, orphanages?
Well, those kids didn't do real well in
Well,
those orphanages.
but sometimes kids aren't doing real well in this sort of crazy all over the place system that
I
we've
know,
become.
I know, I know.
Okay, okay. Um, I know, it's like, we don't have time to delve into this, and I don't actually have any statistical data to support my thoughts here, but sometimes I wonder, Okay, so pulse check. Do you wanna
Yes.
start us off with this, or what do you got?
Um, I'm gonna just do a light one. What are you reading right now?
Oh, I've been think every time, like, I get in the car, I'm like, "I have to ask Kelly this question." Okay, the Narnia everyone at work is like, "I'm so tired of hearing Sam talk about how much she loves the Narnia series because it's a book for children." Well, a series, but I never read it as an adult. we I listened to Kenneth Branagh, whose voice is sultry and delightful, read The Magician's Nephew a few months ago. We read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe years ago as a read aloud. A Horse and His Boy was boring and I didn't finish it, so I just skipped it.
Mhm.
And then I read Prince Caspian, like, last week, and just it was such a joy to read. I was just smiling. I was like, "C.S. Lewis, can you just talk to me? You're funny. This is beautifully written." I get the joke, like, the little adult winks that he does here and there are so funny, and so
Did
then
you ever read the Screw Tape Letters?
Yeah.
Yeah. I read that as an adult.
I
It was
mean, I like
interesting.
it, but it's not what I just wanted, like,
You're
some
like, "Yeah,
time.
but it's not Narnia, so
It's not
shush."
Narnia. And I used to be, like, so against Narnia and just be like, "Pish posh, like, Narnia is for children, and I don't really care."
Oh, no, I love it.
I read Lord of the Rings, but, I'm listening to The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, and I knew the opening line, but when I heard it on the audiobook, I was like, what is I don't even remember what C.S. Lewis's, what his initials stand for, although I read it the other day. What is it, like, Clarence? No. What's his name? Eustace Clarence Scrubb. There was a boy named Eustace Clarence Scrubb, and he almost deserved it. And I just it's like that's a whole book. It's like that over and over again. So anyway, so I'm reading that, and then I'm reading a book still called How to Read a Poem and Fall in Love with Poetry, which has also just been a delightful read, but I have to be able to have, like, more time to focus on it. I can't just open it. So anyway,
Yeah.
what are you reading?
Well, I usually always have 1 book and 1 audio right now. So my audiobooks are usually, like, the more flowy, like, fairy smut, that kinda stuff.
Oh my
Um,
god.
so I'm listening to the first book of Crescent City, which is a Sarah J. Maas book.
Oh, okay.
She did A Court of Thorn and Roses, which
Yeah.
was everybody knows, very sultry. This one, I just am ready for them to, get going already, and it hasn't happened, but it's
Not a
very good.
closed door romance
Yeah.
then.
Um, and then, I'm reading A Little Life. Have you read that?
It sounds so familiar, but no, I
It
haven't.
it's really good. It's about, like, 4, male friends, like, growing up and addiction, but it's very well written. It's like one of
Mm.
those books where the writer just does such a good job just drawing you in.
I feel like there's so much literary content, like books being written now that we have access to, that you can tell, like, I listened to some rom-com audio that I just needed the other week to have something going, and I was like, "The I want to know the storyline, but the writing is so poor and
Mhm.
so just, mind numbing." I'm like, "Can you stop telling me that you're anxious about something? I already know.
Yeah.
I already know, main character,
Those
that
are
you don't know."
is it Frida McFadden everybody likes? It's like those real but they're it's like that. It's not very good writing. I mean, they're
Yeah.
fast and it's a mystery and there's always a twist ending. And my husband likes reading them, but he can read them really fast at work. And I've read a couple and I'm just like, meh. Give me like
I
a good author.
And I don't need you to tell me that the bad guy is bad, like, tell me what's happening, and then
Mhm.
I can pick up on it. You don't need to say, "And it was very odd that he moved my laptop to the side," or something like that. I'm like, "Yeah, I know it's odd. Yeah, thank you. Like, trust me, I'm smart, I can read." Anyway, you're right. Okay, then I will ask you, what is your favorite, like, cheesy Christmas rom-com? Not like your favorite, like, Christmas movie, like Elf or
Mm.
Miracle on
Oh,
20/31st.
no. It's, Love Actually.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Classic.
Love that movie. It makes me cry every time. And the
Aw.
one that really gets me is the relationship between the 2 that don't speak the same language.
Oh, yeah, the housekeeper and the guy that played
He's
Darcy?
Yeah, he's a writer in the
Uh-huh, yeah,
movie, I
yeah.
think, right? And then they have all these conversations, but it's just so cute. I love that one.
That
How about
is
you?
sweet. I like The Holidate, and I watch it all year round. Have you seen this on Netflix?
No.
Oh, you would love it, Kelly. It's so funny. And yeah, I don't
That's all. That's all.
that's all there really is to it. It's
It's not the holiday with, um, Cameron
Jack
Diaz
Black.
and Jack Black?
No, that's
Okay.
Philip's favorite movie of all time is The
Oh,
Holiday.
that's
He
cute.
I know, he really, really loves that movie and he loves the music in it. Um, it's fine. Jack Black doesn't do it for me. And I don't like Cameron Diaz, so I needed, just
Yeah,
it's not the right coupling. No, The Holiday,
okay,
Date. Watch it, get back to me on
okay,
that
I'll
one.
check it out.
Yeah.
Should we leave it there since we went a little long, or do you have more
Uh,
questions?
I have a quick one. I do have other questions, but I can ask you that one. We've been chit-chatting. Do you wear socks to bed?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. All right. I
You do?
absolutely do. I
Oh,
can't, like even in the summer, I need socks on
oh,
my feet.
no. I can start with socks on my feet, but they will not be there in the morning.
Really. I
Yeah,
also
I'll, like, take
learned
them off in my sleep.
that some people we know don't wear undies to bed. They just wear their, like,
I don't wear underwear to
pajamas.
bed.
But okay. Okay. This is why you
No,
don't
but okay, this will bring me to this. Can you sleep with your feet outside the covers?
yeah.
Like, to start?
I guess not. No. I mean, sometimes in the summer, if it's hot, like, I'll kick all my blankets off.
Ugh, I can't start with my feet out because I still think that somebody's gonna grab my feet while I'm sleeping.
What do you mean somebody?
Like, it's just like a carried over childhood fear that, like, if I leave
The
my feet
ghost?
outside the covers, no, somebody's gonna come out from under my bed and grab my feet. And
Just
so
put socks on. No, nope, that's not a problem. You know what I actually like to do? I like to scoot down in the bed
mhm,
and then tuck my feet on the end of the mattress. I have really big feet
yeah,
and I like to sleep on my belly, so I
yeah.
just, like, tuck them down there. Okay, yeah, no, I mean, this isn't too long, but anyway, that's fine. I'll check that one off. I haven't found anybody else that likes to wear socks to bed, I don't think. Oh, one nurse, and we wear the same brand of socks to bed, so shout out to her if she remembers this conversation. Okay, great. Well, I think that that's about it, guys. We're working hard to get these out, and happy holidays. I think that will come out then. And as always, we will save you a seat at the nurse's station.
Bye.
Hey guys, this is Kelly from At the Nurse's Station. Sam and I would like to remind you that the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are strictly our own and do not in any way reflect the position of our employers. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and in no way should be considered medical advice. As always, consult a qualified medical provider for questions regarding your health or medical conditions. We hope you have fun listening to us today, and we'll see you next time at the Nurse's Station.